Welcome to the Embrace the Face podcast, where we celebrate all things weird and wonderful. I'm Allie Anderson, your host, here to bring you high vibe content and interviews for your highest good in self-healing and ascension. May these episodes bring you all you need in each now, and I thank you for listening, as always. Beautiful souls, and welcome to another episode of Embrace the Face. Today, I am solo, and we are going to discuss everything you need to know about the chakras, the laws of the universe, as well as what it means to honor Jesus Christ or Yeshua this time of the season, this time of year, our Yuletide season. We have entered the winter solstice, and the birth of Jesus is coming on the 25th. Now, for those of you who know me and have been following me long enough, you do know that I have come a long way in my journey. And I started out, when I first started blogging, I actually started out as a daily mass goer, and I would get onto social media pretty much daily, and I would talk about what the word of the Lord was for that day and how we can live in the spirit of the Lord, however that looks for you. And I never did it in like a this is how you need to live your life kind of way. I never did it in a shunning way. I never did it in a way that made people feel less than or made them feel like if they weren't living in such a way, for example, via Jesus Christ only, that they were going to go to hell. I never was like that. And to this day, even though I do not go to daily mass any longer, I do still believe that you can have your faith and whomever your higher power is. And the idea is that we all just love one another, because that was Jesus's or Yeshua's main message. Please love one another. And that everything that he did can be done through you as well. So there's lots of different ways that we could go about today's episode, but I really want to focus on the chakras and the laws of the universe. So alongside discussing Yeshua. So I love the chakras. I have been obsessed with the chakras since I first learned about them back in like 2019. I really started, probably even earlier than that. I was a Tai Chi instructor starting 2018, so probably around that time. And I really just fell in love with them and the idea of them and the access that we have with them, and to be able to help to heal others as well as myself. I healed a few chronic ailments, including POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. I still remember to this day, I was doing my own self Reiki and I was hovering over my sacral chakra, and I just felt like this like poof. And since then, my heart rate has been at bay, remained at bay, and I have not needed beta blocker medication. So a lot of what I'm going to talk about is based on what you believe. Do you truly resonate with this information? You can take it or leave it. Pretty much what I'm going to tell you is that everything in life is about what you believe. Do you believe that you are powerful? Do you believe that you are magical? Do you believe that you are multidimensional? And Jesus would honestly say the same. We are powerful, we are magical, and we are multidimensional. And truly, all he wanted, again, was for us to love one another, stating that we didn't have to be in a church in order to be obedient, stating that we didn't have to be in any certain place at any certain time. So long as we looked within in the heart center, then we know who we are, that God is within us, that Jesus is within us, that we are flowing as one. And when you really start to believe this, when you really start to recognize, or you just have an avenue of faith that works for you, and you are actually living heart-centered, that you're not living with this faith and shunning others, that you are actually being of service to humanity, that you are actually contributing to the raise in the core vibrational frequency of our planet and humanity, that when you are actually basically being a part of that positive light energy exchange, that is what it's all about. And we do this vicariously through the chakras. So our chakras, the definition of a chakra simply is just a spinning wheel or disc. This is ancient Ayurveda. This goes back to our ancestors. This is something that has been utilized both in Western and Eastern medicine. This is now coming to the the surface as a new age way to heal the soul, to heal the body, to heal the mind, to heal the emotions. It has always been around. Reiki, Usui Reiki, also works with the chakras. That is what I am certified in. And when I first started training Usui Reiki, it is said that for every level that you are attuned in, that one's intuition becomes exponentially expanded. And I can tell you from experience that that is most certainly true. You start to get familiar with the chakras, you start to feel the energy of the chakras. And for me, I can see them, I can visualize them via mind's eye, and I work with them when I am doing Reiki with clients. It is just something that has always come naturally to me. So I want to teach you guys a little bit about what each chakra is and how it correlates and how you can learn to live in flow with both the chakras and the laws of the universe. So I'm just for educational and time purposes, I am going to focus on our 7 main physical body chakras. So we're going to start with the first one. So the first one is our root chakra. That is our Muladhara chakra. This is our red colored chakra. This is home to safety. This chakra resonates at a hertz of 396 hertz. And this is your sense of safety. This is your sense of calm versus being in that parasympathetic nervous system state of rest and recovery, rest and digest, versus the sympathetic state of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So this is all about feeling grounded in your body. And this is also home to the law of gender, that everything is physical, everything has divine feminine and divine masculine attributes, and that there is no arguing this. So finding balance in life, the balance of the divine feminine and masculine, the balance of that hustling, go-getter energy versus the balancing of the mothering and nurturing energy and slowing down. And when you start to work on this chakra and you open this chakra and you really start to feel grounded and rooted in who you are, this chakra then helps you to regulate that nervous system, to bring yourself into that balanced state of homeostasis. And moving up to the sacral chakra, your Svadhisthana chakra, this is your orange chakra. This chakra resonates at 417 hertz. This is home to your self-worth, your creativity, your sensuality, your sexuality, your reproduction, and your overall zest for life. This chakra, home to the law of polarity, tells us that everything has an opposite: darkness and light, love and hate. And everything that you experience in life, everything that you feel in life, if it feels heavy and low vibe, you can bring in the opposite, the polar opposite. You can bring in the light and the love, and you can balance it. So see where I'm going with this? Everything is about balance and flow. Moving up to the solar plexus chakra. This chakra is yellow in color. This is your Manipura chakra. And this chakra resonates at a hertz of 528. And this is home to your self-confidence, your motivation. This is the area where you really feel your power, that willpower, that ability to get shit done, that ability to transcend and supersede any expectations that have ever been placed upon you, because it is your divine will. Not because you've been told to do it, but because this comes from a place of such depth, of such multidimensionality, of such excitement and flow, that this energy center cannot help but be your driving sun force. This is home to your prana, that life force energy. This is home to digestion. This is also home to the law of cause and effect, that every single thing in the universe has a cause, that has a cause, has an effect, and everything that has an effect has a cause. Again, something that is inescapable in this life. So thinking about the things that you do and saying like, oh, well, it wasn't my fault, but there is a cause. There is literally a root cause to every single moment of every single day of your life. So start paying attention to what may the cause have been to this effect, or vice versa, and tapping into how you can make change to live live in alignment, to really be on point with who you are and what you believe in and what you want to set out to accomplish for yourself. And moving up to, it's really funny. So I'm just going to say why my alarm keeps going off, because I have to call my son's orthodontist because it's literally, of course, the 2 days before Christmas and his wire is poking out. So apologies for the background noise. Okay, so that's my alarm going off because they just opened. Okay, so moving up to this is mom life, right? Mom life, podcast life, trying to get shit done. So this is my solar plexus chakra, multitasking. Moving up to the Anahata chakra, your heart chakra, green in color. This is my favorite chakra. This chakra is home to the law of rhythm. This chakra is green in color, and it is home to loving thyself. It's home to having compassion for thyself. It's also home to having compassion for all humanity, whether you like it or not. We are meant to be kind to one another. We are meant to have compassion for one another. We are meant to be patient with each other as well. And residing at a hertz of 639, this energy center is also home to the thymus. So I'm going to go back to the law of rhythm in a second, but the thymus, if you are not familiar, there are studies that show that in particular people, the thymus tends to get smaller over time. The thymus helps with our immunity, and it helps us to function in our cells and to be able to fight off infection. And when people get older, it is said that this gland decreases in size. Now, there's a spiritual aspect to this theory that those who shy away from being heart-centered, those who live more in ego and arrogance and selfishness instead of selflessness, that their thymus disappears. And those who live more heart-centered, a faith-led life, their thymus remains intact. Just an interesting tidbit of information. So the law of rhythm is, how are you flowing? Are you in flow with your heart center, or are you living in ego? Is your flow disrupted? And that noting that we are all in rhythm, we are all in flow. Energy never ceases to stop. Energy never ceases to exist. So everything is in a constant state of flow. How are you flowing? What is your rhythm like? Is it chaotic, or is it just flowing, simply flowing? If it is chaotic, how can you tap into this, and how can you make ease of this flow for yourself and those around you? Because again, this heart center, this Anahata chakra, is home to your own self-love and compassion, as well as to all humanity. So focusing first and foremost on loving yourself. And then once you start to do that work, and once you start to transcend and really ascend and raise your vibration, that you tend to not only feel better, feel more high vibe, you tend to not only be flowing easier, but then it starts to trickle out to others. So it's no different than farming and gardening. It's no different. You've sowed your seed, you've watered it, you've planted it, it's growing, it's blossoming, it's blooming, it's vibrant. And then the seeds fall, right? And then they start growing elsewhere. And that is your family. Those are your friends, your coworkers, the people who you see the most in your life. And you may start to note that they also are having experiences of healing and ascension within themselves. That is the rhythm effect. That is the vibration. That is everything just doing as it should for the highest good of you and humanity. So moving up to the throat chakra, this is your Vishuddha chakra, and this chakra is aquamarine light blue in color. This chakra resonates at a hertz of 741. This is home to the communication. This is home to communicating your truth, whether you're speaking it, writing, listening, expressing, however that works for you, whatever your go-to modality is. But this is also home to the thyroid as well. So you really want to be sure that your thyroid is functioning properly. When a thyroid does not function properly, it can really affect more than just your thyroid hormones. It goes deeper than whether you're just hyperthyroid, or if you have ailments such as Graves' disease, or things that are, or you have nodules, or you have things that are preventing your thyroid from fully functioning. It actually can affect you on other levels, such as your nervous system regulation. If you're finding that you're doing all this nervous system work and you're still feeling a little dysregulated, a lot of times this is the greatest wound that people deal with. It is a stifled throat chakra. Now, not to say that on the physiological level, you could technically have something going on with your thyroid, but that's, in the 3D physical Western medicine, you can totally have that checked out. But at the same time, I highly recommend that you start looking into your throat chakra health. And this is a chakra that holds your truth energy. And I just posted about this, and this is something, it's a necessary skill, I guess you could say, to be able to speak your truth, write your truth, to live your truth. Not many people can, because as we are raised, as we are brought up, and we're programmed to perceive the way that we are programmed to, and we are shut down ultimately, then our throat chakra does not spin. Our throat chakra becomes muddled, it becomes frozen, and so do we. So being able to learn how to feel that root chakra, feeling safe in your body, and then knowing that it is safe to then speak your truth. So these two chakras kind of go hand in hand. All the chakras go hand in hand with each other, but the root, if you are not feeling safe in your body, then you are not going to feel safe to speak your truth. So just something to think about. And this being home to the law of vibration is most important for you to understand. The way that you speak to yourself is key. When you name call, I have come a long way. So for those of you, again, who have followed me from the get-go, embrace the face. Not only is about embrace the face of humanity, embrace the face of your life, embrace the face of your ascension and your healing, but to begin with, embrace the face was all about feeling confident in my body, feeling safe in my body to be able to speak my truth. And I never spoke kindly about myself. I would always call myself a piece of shit. I would call myself ugly, depending on what my weight was at that time. I was either too skinny, or I was too fat, or just in general, I didn't like the reflection I looked at. So I would name call myself. And in hindsight, I see how destructive that was, but it was also a pattern in my life that had never ceased to exist from the time I was probably 5 years old. So I can go back to 3 years old, and to know that my throat chakra was muddled for over 30 years, well, pretty much 30 years at that point when I started really doing this work. It was so freeing and liberating that because I then started to feel safe in my body, right? I then started to feel creative in the sacral chakra. Then I started to feel more confident in the solar plexus chakra. Then I started to love myself a little more in the heart chakra. And then I couldn't help but want to speak my truth to help humanity. And that's kind of how it works as you ascend through the chakras. And then the law of vibration being that everything vibrates, everything has a resonance, that what you speak, whether it's about yourself or about someone else, is going to be your reality, is going to be your life. It's going to be how you experience reality, because remember, perception is everything, and everything is energy. That's all there is to it, per Albert Einstein. So if you are perceiving that you're an ugly piece of shit, and you are perceiving that the world owes you something and you don't have to do anything to help yourself, then the universe is just going to continue to give you those feelings that you're an ugly piece of shit and that the world owes you something, and you're never going to feel grateful. You're never going to feel in flow. You're never going to feel at peace. You're always going to feel angry. You're always going to feel resentful. So again, based on experience of how I live my life, perception is everything. Whereas that was my perception, and many other people that I have spoken with, and many other clients and friends and family and coworkers, and learning that once you start to change that perspective, you live in deeper gratitude. You live in more flow. You live in that sense of being more self-aware about your words. And even if in the future you do say something that you really did not mean to say or you didn't want to say, you can simply take a moment, ground, connect, protect, and say cancel, cancel, cancel. Just really taking charge of how you speak your truth, how you write your truth, how you present your truth, how you express yourself as a whole. And I'm telling you right now, when you stop the name calling specifically for yourself, it will change everything. And it'll open this energy center, it'll open your whole life, and it'll teach you about kindness, and really it'll teach you about love. So going back to that heart chakra. And then as we move up to the third eye chakra, your Ajna chakra resides at an 841 frequency, and this chakra is sapphire in color. So I'm sorry, 852 hertz frequency. This is home to your intuition, trusting that your intuition is on point all the time, every time. And this is home to your spiritual insights and home to the pineal gland. So the pineal gland is a tiny pine cone shaped structure that is deeply seated within the brain. This structure is reactive to light, and it is said that this structure, when it is activated, that is why our third eye is open, and that is why certain people can trust their intuition versus others whose pineal gland, which is responsible for melatonin production and our circadian rhythm, our sleep cycle, that when this is not awake and this gland is not healthy or fully functioning or awake, you are going to have issues as sleep disturbance. You are maybe have insomnia, not trusting your intuition, and in the grand scheme, having a completely dysregulated nervous system and not trusting yourself that you are more than just this physical body. This third eye Ajna chakra, home to the law of correspondence, tells us that, as I always repeat, the esoteric occult theories of within and without, above and below, that everything that is going on within is going on without, everything that occurs above is going on below, and that we are just multidimensional aspects, and we are spiritual beings having this human experience. So the idea that we are inherently connected, we are a spider web, we are a one collective, that everything leads back to one source. So going back to the religion, no matter whom you believe in, no matter whom your higher power is, no matter how conservative or liberal you are in your organized religious beliefs, the plain fact is that ultimately we all return to one source. It's how you have been programmed or choose to receive this information and live with this information and have faith with this information. But the general idea of as within, as without, as above, so within, so without, as above, so below, is that everything really is energy, and everything's a mirror, and everything is just happening, and it's all connected, and there's nothing we can do about it. So take that information for what you will, but this chakra is one that can easily be worked on. This is one that many people know about, that third eye chakra. You can awaken it by simply tapping on your forehead in between your eyebrows. You can do a lot of different exercises to awaken this chakra. We all have an intuition. We are all capable of being psychic, and that just is what it is. So I love teaching people, if you haven't already, my psychic challenge is free of charge. It's 5 videos. We go over all 8 clairs, and it teaches you how to trust your intuition and how to tap into each clair, which are your psychic abilities, to be able to live in flow, not just to do readings or to pull cards or be woo-woo, but really to live a life being grounded, connected, protected, and in flow. And last but not least, we have our crown chakra, the Sahasrara chakra. It's one of my favorite words, Sahasrara. I love it. This chakra, purple in color, resonating at a hertz of 963. This chakra is home to the law of mentalism, or the law of oneness, stating, just like how I described the intuition, the Ajna chakra, everything is connected, that this chakra is everything is mental. We are one. And that really is just it. We are so much more than our individual egos. We are always connected to God, source, angels, the universe, your guides, your ancestors, your past loved ones, your ascended masters, interdimensional beings. And this really is where the aspect of embodiment comes in, where you connect with your highest self, your highest timeline, and you embody this version of you. And then you are living your best life, essentially, in layman's terms. And there's nothing more freeing and liberating than knowing that you're living in alignment. And I think that that's really what Jesus wanted us to know. At least I have meditated on this so much over the latter 5 years. I have felt, like I said, I was a daily mass goer. And it's funny, I started talking about the chakras more and posting more on the chakras, being more vocal about the chakras. And I still do get people that come in and say the chakras are portals to the devil, and you need to be careful, and it's the Antichrist, and doing things like yoga. And that's fine if that's your thought processes and your way of living life. I have been in the church life, and I have heard all the things about how dangerous I am, or how I shouldn't be doing things as Reiki, but I just want to point out a few things. So Jesus and the apostles, that now I am not discounting the fact whatever you believe in. And now I don't have all the answers. I don't know about you guys, but especially the people who are the shame throwers and the ones who make other people feel bad about not living just through Jesus Christ or just through the Bible. Now, I am not somebody who is going to sit here and tell you that I have all the answers. Just like I would love to know, if you're the one telling me and shaming me for the fact that I'm not doing it right, where's your proof? I want to know your proof. I want to see it. I want to feel it. Like, as somebody who's so in tune with multidimensional aspects, show me the proof, because I'd love to know where it comes from and how you know this and why you aren't the one saving the world. So that's always my ideology, that everybody's able to have their own thought processes and their own way that works for them and helps them live in faith and flow. For me, here is my understanding after reading many works, being a churchgoer, talking with many priests and rabbis, writing about this on my blog over the years, talking about this over the years with my podcast, practicing as a Catholic while simultaneously embracing other rituals, because those of you, again, who know me know that my mother is Jewish. So yes, technically I know by blood, I then technically am Jewish. However, here's how I see it. It's all organized religion. It's all been made organized into something by a man. Prior to any of this, Jesus, when he was here preaching that he was the Son of God and that he had the answers to what people needed to do, guess what he wanted people to do? Just to simply live heart-centered. There was no Bible then to go by. There was no word of the Lord to go by. It simply was just his word in that now in person. Then other people came, such as the apostles, and they wrote the words based on what they saw happen, right? So for me, I love the Bible. I have been involved with the Bible since I made my holy sacraments, and I will still go to church and I will sit. I don't resonate with everything, but what I do resonate very much so with is the fact that Jesus knows that we are so powerful and that we really just have to live heart-centered, that we have to be kind to one another, that he kind of like laid the foundation for what it means to live via the heart chakra. And when you think about the energy healing aspect and the miraculous healings, now that is something that's that unexplainable, right? That's that miraculous, unexplainable energy. Those are people's unique gifts. Those are people's unique abilities. And then you have the idea of hands-on healing, which can be Reiki or simply known as touch therapy or hands-on healing, or it's if you're in the holistic nursing world and you get the holistic nursing magazine, you can see how many different types of hands-on energy healing, evidence-based to be precise, meaning that it helps people. And this is why it's done. Also, that Reiki is within the scope of practice of a registered nurse, that these are techniques that Jesus not only did himself, but then made the apostles aware of just how powerful they were too. How many of the apostles denied Jesus up front on the first attempt of him trying to get them to follow? Not many of them. So the ones who went into it from the get-go weren't necessarily full believers, full heart-centered believers, right? Until they started to see the power, until they started to experience the power, and until they were shown how to do it themselves. Now, if you ask me, besides the 7 main chakras, there are many other chakras. There are your galactic chakras and your cosmic chakras and your earth star chakra and your soul star chakra. And then there are chakras in the knees and the feet and in the palms. And the palms are energy gates, energy centers, energy portals. And if you are a true believer in the work that you do, and you practice and you allow the energy to flow, you will be surprised when you embody this version of you just how powerful you are. And it doesn't mean that every single person who is going to take a moment to practice, doing palm healing or energy healing is going to be a miraculous healer. I truly wish that I could. I truly wish that my Reiki clients who came to see me in person, I truly wish, because I do have clients who are suffering tremendously, some even with terminal illness. And I wish that I could just lay my hands on somebody and they could be gone of their illness. That is not my particular gift, and I don't claim it to be my particular gift. However, I do know of other people who not only can do that, but then can predict things such as time of death, or these are all unique gifts that are meant to be embraced. Of course, they are going to be feared by others, especially those who are raised and live and believe in the word of the Bible, especially those who are so tunnel vision to not understand that there is so much more going on behind the scenes than what meets the naked eye. So I share all of this because I truly feel that after all these years of practicing the chakras and knowing their that they are gateways and that they are portals to healing, and the more you can do with them, the more you can help to bring your life into ease and flow. When you live vicariously through these 7 chakras, through the laws of the universe, when you actually understand what each law of the universe is. And if you haven't read the Kabbalion, I highly recommend it. It's by Hermes and 3 Initiates, ancient Egyptian theories, but it basically talks about the 7 main laws of the universe. And rumor has it, if you read it and you understand it, that big things will happen to you. So the chakras and the laws of the universe are these avenues to healing, ascension, and flow. And until you actually try it, as somebody who started, we all start somewhere, right? So when I first started doing this and I was a daily mass goer, it brought a lot of fear. But there was something bigger than me that was being called, and I always felt so connected to Jesus. Like, you could not argue with me. Even today, in this now, just had a Reiki client on my table who Yeshua came through to let her know that in another life she followed him. And my client and I have talked about this, where like we've always not joked around, but like we were like the Mary Magdalenes following Jesus around, that we were like Jesus's groupies back in the day. That's how we became connected. But literally the message came through so powerfully, as if he were there, and I know that his essence was there, saying that she was once, although she is terminally ill in this now, that she went through this in another life and she was cured by him, and that this is what's happening in this life, and that she is going to continue to move forward in her life, being healed and ascending. As she says, she is a walking testimony, a miraculous healing, and that the mind and faith is over everything. And that when I told her this, we both had chills, and she was like, yes, 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 I believe it. And it's just, these are the messages that come through. This is stuff that I don't make up. This is my life. This is somebody who, and it's funny because usually I feel like the people go from being the woo-woo or the witchy to then finding Jesus and coming into the church. And then that's when they start telling other people, no, 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 you can't do this. You shouldn't do this. This is the only way. Meanwhile, I'm kind of like the opposite of that, where I started out in the church and took those ideologies and those theories and the history of what I guess we know to be documented truth, the real documented truths. And then I then segued away from the organized religion into the woo. So part of me wonders, although I feel so confident in what I'm doing in this now, and who knows what my life is going to bring me to, but I feel so strong and powerful in the sense that our 7 chakras are the gateways and the avenues to healing and ascension, that Jesus was just trying to show us the way, that he was trying to teach us to love one another, that he was trying to teach us that even though we may have lived in sin at some point, but what is the definition of sin to you? What does that mean to you? Even though we have our flaws and we have our negatives, that there is no reason that we cannot forgive ourselves, that we cannot forgive others, and just live as one. And that is the overall message that I have for you today, just prior to Jesus's birthday. I also wanted to say happy Yuletide blessings, happy new moon blessings from last week, from Friday. So Friday night was the new moon in Sagittarius, and this is that ever expanding energy that as we close out 2025, that 9 year, the year of the snake, as we're shedding layers and some of those shadows may come to the surface. Be proud of who you are. Be proud of how far you've come. Be proud of what your intentions are, what your gifts are, what you see yourself doing for this world, or what you are doing for this world. How are you being of service? How are you being a part of raising the vibration for humanity? And this is really all that the end of this year is wanting you to look at, to heal, to have intentions, and then moving into 2026, where the Chinese New Year kicks into the year of the fire horse, that blazing energy. Again, shadows coming to the surface. It's not going to be all rainbows and butterflies. And what's interesting is that numerology says that 2026 is a 1 year, which means rebirth and revitalization and new beginnings. However, ancient Chinese history says that this is actually a 10 year, so not a 1 year. So whether you believe in the 1 year where it's rebirth and new beginnings, or 10 things coming to completion and finally coming to and really solidifying. So however you look at it, whatever works for you, whatever resonates for you, you are either coming to a completion, a culmination, you're finding yourself, you're knowing who you are, you're knowing your truth, you're living your truth, you're embodying your truth. Or are you seeing it as a new beginning of that embodied truth, of that embodied highest self version of you? So either way, you are on to great and powerful and amazing, magical, multidimensional things. And I am so proud of you. And thank you for listening. And as always, happy holy days, a blessed new year. I'm back after the new year. So have a good one, guys. Peace out and God bless.